All right, this video is going to walk you through setting up the Texas Instruments BA2 Plus financial calculator according to the directions that I sent out over email. And then also, if you've read the section, which I highly encourage you to do, the section in your textbook called Using a Financial Calculator, and I also put a PDF up on Blackboard so you can read it there. Okay. Setting your calculator up right here, although a lot of this, if you've never used a financial calculator before, it may not make a lot of sense what we're doing. But if we get it set up right in the first place, then it's going to save you an awful lot of headaches down the road where it looks like you're getting wrong answers, but really the calculator's doing it right. You just can't see what it's doing. Okay, so we want to follow these 3 steps and get it set up. If you're using some calculator besides the BA2 Plus, please still set it up according to these directions, but consult your manual to figure out how to do it. Set it for the large number of decimal places to make sure that you're assuming only one payment per year, and then also to make sure your calculator's in end mode. Okay, but for the BA2 Plus, what we're going to do here is, if you've got your calculator, the first thing we're going to do is set it to display a large number of decimal places. Okay, so the first step, of course, is to turn the guy on. And if it's brand new out of the package and it's never been used before, the default is that it's going to be set to 2 decimal places. Okay, see the decimal point? We got 2 zeros behind it. We want to see more than that. And the reason is that we're going to be calculating a lot of small numbers here. We're going to be calculating interest rates, which are going to be given to us in decimal forms a lot of times. So we need to be able to see at least 4 back. I like to have my calculator set for 4. You can put more in there if you like, but then it kind of clutters up the display, but you don't want to go any less than 4. Okay, so what we're going to do is we've got it turned on. If you see 2 decimal places here, we're going to set it for 4. And the way we're going to do that is by pushing the second key, and that's up here, the second row on the calculator, all the way to the left. And on the newer calculators, that button is yellow. On the older ones, it's kind of an orangish color if you've inherited a calculator from someone else. And we're going to push the second key, and what that tells the calculator is that I want you to do the function that's written above the key that we're looking for. Okay? And the key we're looking for here is format. Okay? And that's on the decimal key, which is all the way in the bottom, right in the middle of your number pad. Okay? So we're going to press that button, which has the decimal on it and format written above it. Okay? And what our calculator is going to display is DEC for decimal equals 2.00. Okay? So our calculator is set to display 2 decimal places. We want 4. So what we're going to do is hit the number 4. We're going to press the number 4 key. And what you'll notice is we lost the decimal places. It just shows the number 4 here. Okay, when you're entering things into this financial calculator, if you just see the number displayed without the decimal places behind it, that means the calculator has not recorded that number yet. Okay? You're going to have to get used to that in these financial calculators. You have to tell it that you're serious. Yes, I really meant to press that number 4. So what we have to do is we press the number 4, and then we have to hit the enter key. Okay, and the enter key is all the way on the top row, and it's the second key from the left. Okay, we're going to press enter. And you'll see the display change on your calculator. Now we see the 4 followed by 4 decimal places. Okay, when we see the decimal places come in, we know that the calculator has actually recorded that keystroke. Okay, and it knows that we're serious. Yes, I pressed 4, and yes, I really meant to press 4. That's what we're telling the calculator. Okay, you've got that set. Now you can hit second and quit. Okay? And quit is written right above the CPT, or the compute key, all the way in the top row on the very left. Okay? And now you'll see on your calculator we've got the 0 followed by 4 decimal places, and we're set to display 4 decimal places. If you want to see 5 or you want to see 6, you just press 5 or 6 instead of 4. Okay? But I would go at least 4. Okay, the second thing that we want to set is to make sure that our calculator is set to assume only 1 payment per year. And again, if you've not used a financial calculator, that may not make a whole lot of sense. I'm not really sure what we're talking about. If you're used to using a financial calculator and you know what that is, and you would rather go and adjust the payments per year based on the problem, that's fine if you're comfortable doing that. For myself, I always leave payments per year set to 1 because I'm likely to forget about it. That's a value that your calculator stores, and it's set unless you go in and change it. So if I'm working a problem that assumes monthly compounding and I set it to 12 payments per year, or payments per period, and then the next problem I work assumes semi-annual compounding and I need to set it to 2, I'm likely to forget to change that setting. So what I do is just leave it set to 1 all the time, and then I'll make an adjustment in my interest rate if I need to. Okay? If that doesn't make sense to you, don't worry. It will as we go through when we get into Chapter 5. All right, so we're going to set our calculator to assume one payment per year. If the calculator's off, we'll turn it back on. Okay, and then we're going to press the yellow second key. All right, and now what we're looking for is P over Y, which is payments per year. And that key, that's written right above the I over Y key, which is on the third row of keys here. These are your time value keys that we're going to be using a lot in this course. Okay, and it's the second button from the left. Okay, so we'll press that key. It has I over Y written on it, P over Y above it. And our calculator is going to display P over Y equals 1.0, followed by 4 decimal places, because we set it to 4 decimal places. That's the default if you've just unwrapped your calculator and taken it out of the package. If you've inherited it from someone else or have used it for another class and have changed it, it may display something else. It's set to whatever you set it before. Okay, but for this chapter, for Chapter 4, everything is going to be on an annual basis. It's going to be real simple starting out. So we want to set that guy to 1 and just leave it there. Even if you want to change it yourself for Chapter 4 stuff, you're not going to need to. It's going to stay at 1. So if it says 1 right here already, you're good to go. You can just hit second and quit, and you can back out. Okay? But if it says something other than 1, say it's got 12 in here, or 2, or 4, or whatever might be written in there, what we want to do is hit the number 1. And here, notice your display, it just shows the number 1 without any decimal places. So the calculator wants to know, hey, you pushed number 1, but did you really mean to? Do you want to change this setting? So you've got to hit the enter key all the way at the top again. And then you'll see the display change. We've got the 1 followed by our decimal places. Okay, that way we know the calculator has said, okay, I know that you were serious about pressing the number 1, and I have changed the setting. Now your payments per year are set to 1. Okay, once you see the 1 in there, followed by the decimal places, you can hit second and quit. Okay, and you're all set. Okay, the final step listed in the email here is to make sure your calculator is set to end mode. And again, if you're not used to using a financial calculator, which most of you are probably never have used one, that's fine. It may not make sense. What that is talking about is when we calculate time value money problems, we're either discounting or compounding. We're taking money into the future, or we're bringing money back in today's dollars. And if we're making payments along the way, we've got to make an assumption on whether those payments are occurring at the beginning of the period or the end of the period. For simplicity's sake, at least for Chapter 4, everything's going to happen at the end of the period. Okay, so we want to make sure that guy's set to end mode, which is the default for your calculator. So if you've never used it before, then it should already be set, but we need to check it, because it will make your answers wrong if it's set to beginning. Okay, so if the calculator's not on, we're going to turn it on, and then we're going to hit the second key, and what we're looking for is BGN, and it's right above the PMT key, which stands for payment. And that's on our third row here, our time value keys, and it's the second key from the right all the way over here. Okay, so we're going to press that key. It has PMT written on it and BGN for beginning above it. And if you've not used a calculator before, what you're going to see in the display is end. Okay, that's what we want. We want our calculator in end mode. So if you see end displayed there, you're good to go. You don't need to change that at all. So I want you to hit second and quit. Okay, it's set to end mode. Now, if you hit second in BGN and your calculator displays BGN, you see beginning, your calculator's in beginning mode, and it's set to assume payments are occurring at the beginning of the period. We want to get out of that. We want to change it. So if you see BGN, I want you to hit the second key and then press set, which is on the top row here above the enter key. Okay? When you press enter, it's going to change to end. And that guy just toggles. When you press second set, it toggles back and forth between beginning and end. So you'll press second set, and you'll see end up here. Once you see end, you can hit second and quit, and your calculator's set up. Okay, so that's the 3 steps I sent in the email, and those are also the ones that are outlined in the Using the Financial Calculator in the textbook. There's one more step I didn't put in the email, and it doesn't mention it in the tips. But it's something that helps me when I use the calculator, because it lets me just enter things the way I like to in the calculator. It's not necessary for you to do it, but most other calculators are set up to do this automatically, so it may mess you up if it's not there. But what I like to do with the calculator is to set it up to follow algebraic order of operations. In other words, it does parentheses first and exponents, the please excuse my dear Aunt Sally rules. The calculator will follow that for you. So if you enter something in, that it's a number multiplied by an addition inside parentheses, You can just enter that string into the calculator, and it'll do what's inside the parentheses first and then do the multiplication. It just follows algebraic order of operations. So if you're used to entering things like that in your calculator, this will be helpful. If you do each individual calculation by itself and then just write the numbers down and then you do follow the algebraic operations yourself, then it doesn't matter. Okay, but if you want to set it up so your calculator will do that, what we'll do is go back into the Format menu. You'll hit the second key and then go back down to Format, which is written above the decimal key. And we're back to decimals equals 4.0. Okay, we've already got that set up. What we want to do now is hit the down arrow key. Now, if you've never used your calculator before, it's not going to be set to follow algebraic rules of operation. Okay, we're going to hit the down arrow key one time. We see DEG. We're not going to mess with that. Hit the down arrow key a second time. We'll see US equals 12. That's your date setting. We're not going to mess with that. Hit the down arrow key a third time. We'll see US is equal 1,000. We're not going to mess with that. Hit the down arrow key a fourth time. Okay? And what you'll see here, if you've never used your calculator before, it's going to display CHN. Okay? And that's not set to follow algebraic rules of operation. I've already set this one so it says AOS, which is the algebraic order of operations, which is where you want it. But what you're likely to see if it's a brand new calculator is CHN. If it's set to CHN and you just start typing in numbers on your calculator, a long string of addition and multiplication and subtraction and division and all that, your calculator's just going to do everything individually as you type it in, which may mess you up. If you want to set it to algebraic rules of operation, we're going to hit second and set until you see AOS displayed on the calculator. When AOS is displayed, then you can type in a long string of multiplication, addition, subtraction, exponent. You can just type all that into your calculator all at once, and it knows. It's smart enough to know which ones it should do first. It'll do the exponents and then do addition, or it'll do what's inside the parentheses if it's addition or subtraction, and then do the multiplication outside parentheses. So that's how I like to have mine set. It's not necessary, but that's just the way I like to enter things into the calculator, so it saves me some grief later on. Okay, once you see AOS in there, you can hit second, quit, and you are all set up for the course.